What's up, guys? First episode of the podcast.
And we got a very special guest on today. App State's own starting quarterback, Zach Thomas. He entered into the NFL draft a couple months ago. And let's just hop right into it. Our first question is, man, how was the recruitment process, going into, leaving high school? Obviously you got quite a few offers we saw, and what was that experience like? And
Yeah. It was a good experience. My junior years when recruiting kind of started picking up heavy for me. Started narrowing down some schools and whatnot, and then senior year, broke my leg, broke my tibia and fibula. And so after that point, a lot of schools had pulled my offer. So I committed to a small school in Alabama, by Jacksonville State, there in the OVC. So I was committed there. I was going to go play there. But there was something always in my mind telling me, this is probably not the right place for me. I just didn't feel at home. And App State had a quarterback leave and went to Iowa State 2 weeks before signing day. So Coach Ponce, which is the OC at App State right now, he came down, took a in-home visit, and then I came up there, took an official visit and loved it and committed.
Yeah, we noticed that. We were looking at your 24/7 page, and, three-star recruit coming out of high school. We saw that you committed to Jacksonville State, and then after you decommitted and went to App State. And how's your experience been the 4 years you were there?
Oh, man, it was next to none. I enjoyed every minute of it. Even from when I first got there, being behind Taylor, learning the system, learning the offense, just the camaraderie around the locker room, winning a lot of football games, championships. I couldn't have had a better career, and just happy for what we did, and just, to a point in my career now, just ready to pass the torch along to other people and let them continue the legacy.
Nice. All right. How do you prepare from going to college into the NFL, and how do you think your game is going to transfer?
It's different. When you're in college, you got to worry about school. You got to worry about doing a lot of different things. The NFL, it's a business at this point. You focus on one thing and one thing only. So it's definitely difficult to get used to, because now, all my time is spent towards football. Instead of having to do things here and there, everything's all football now. And I think just the game-wise, I think first and foremost, just leadership. I think being a quarterback, obviously, you got to be a leader of the football team. You got to have the offense behind you, and you got to be a leader on and off the field. And just the toughness and competitor nature that I play with, I think, can correlate heavily into the NFL.
Absolutely. What do you think your biggest skill, your greatest skill is that you can bring into a football team in the NFL going to the draft?
I think it's ability to make plays with my feet. When a play breaks down, especially on third down, sorry about that. Especially on third down, if you have the ability to make a play with your feet, you're just putting stress on the defense. And at the end of the day, that's what eventually kills good defenses, is a guy that can make plays with his arm and a guy that can make plays with his feet. So I think that just gives me a step above anybody else.
Obviously, I'm sure you've been keeping up with the prospects this year. It's a very quarterback-heavy draft class. Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, guys like that. But we saw this stat of yours that out of all the quarterbacks that played college football last year, you actually had the second most wins. So where do you think you rank up statistically against those guys, and what are your expectations for this draft?
Yeah, obviously, like you hit on, you have your top guys in this draft class, and they've earned those rights. They go out there and compete just like everyone else, and they've earned those rights to go in the first round. And at that point, as a quarterback, you kind of just sit back and I've accepted the fact that I'm not going in the first 3 rounds. I know that as a player, I know that as a person. I'm not gonna get my hopes up for that, but I do know one thing, as in once the first couple rounds are done, the quarterbacks, it's kind of just up in the air. I think it just depends on what a team needs. I don't think any other person is going to be above anybody else. And I think you can't really compare stats. You can't compare anything else like that. It's just what jumps out to you on paper and what jumps out to you in the film room, to where you can really trust in a guy to come in and take over a locker room, and maybe be a backup quarterback and, eventually fight their way up. But I think it's an even playing field once you get past the obviously your top guys that's going to be going top rounds.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, you like you grew up in Alabama, you said. Any players that you like modeled your game after? Did you watch like Alabama football? Obviously, my favorite player in Alabama history, my guy Tua, was a great quarterback over there. Is there anyone like that you kind of looked up to and kind of tried to use to build your game off of?
Yeah, well, I was an Alabama fan. I supported Auburn. My dad played at Auburn back in the day, so always went with him. And just, because I didn't get to see him play football, obviously, but I saw what he got to experience kind of whenever we'd go back to games and whatnot. So I supported him and Auburn. And, I didn't really, some college players here and there, but mostly, you look up to NFL guys, the one that set the stage, and the bar is high, which is obviously your Tom Brady's, your Drew Breeses, your Peyton Manning, and all that. I kind of sat back and modeled my game after them, just kind of the competitor and the way they win, no matter where they're at. And then here recently at App, just playing quarterback and trying to grow my game as much as I can. Nowadays I'm watching like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and just seeing what they're doing, to recognize his defense, to recognize just the little things here and there that can set you from being a good quarterback to a great quarterback.
Nice. Growing up, was football your first sport that you played?
Well, actually, so I started playing football in Pee Wee. I think I played like when I was 7, and I absolutely hated it. So I played 1 year and quit, and then played baseball until middle school, and then I picked football back up in middle school.
What made you want to pick football back up?
It was something my dad always told me, and it's just, I knew from just my financial standpoint, I wasn't going to be able to afford college. I didn't want to go in debt, and I didn't want to start off in the hole, basically, as you could say. So I knew that football was a way out for me, was a way for me to get a scholarship and further my education. And so once I kind of figured out everything as in that nature, just to know that playing a sport I love could give me an education, kind of just was a nail in the coffin, man. And that's when I really started falling in love with football.
I have to ask, what was your career like in baseball? Because you see nowadays a lot of guys like Kyler Murray, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, all guys like that. Like they got drafted into the MLB and the NFL. Like, was there any potential for that to happen for you, or?
If I probably would have stuck with it, I'm not going to say, like I would have got drafted, but, there's definitely was potential for me to go play, especially maybe college somewhere. I started playing baseball after my sophomore year just to get really focused on football, to go to as many camps as I could go to do anything that I could as a quarterback, to set me apart from anybody else I was competing with, to get that offer with. So, and I never picked up baseball again. I was actually going to play my senior year, but then broke my leg, so I wasn't able to play. But so I never really got to see the potential of what baseball could have panned out for me.
Well, Zach, obviously, your record as a starter, 32-6, which is, really good. So they're the third most. Sorry, you're the third most wins in App State history. You won Sun Belt. Third team, second team, and offensive player of the year. So what does it mean to you, really contributing to your school's history and, being
it's a
known in the history
blessing.
books?
Yeah, it's definitely a blessing. And, obviously when you think of App State, we've had some good players come through the program. And just to be recognized as one of those players, they kind of set App State apart from other players and other programs, not only in North Carolina, but college football. Means a lot. And, that's just something that I wanted to do. I wanted to mark myself into the history books where I knew that I would always be remembered around App State and App State football. And I think it's just the culture that we play in at App State. When you first get here, the older generations here, they're pushing you. They're just showing you what it takes to be a champion. And so when they pass the torch down, they expect the same thing. So obviously when I left, I passed it down, let them deal with it, and let them be great. So it's just a revolving door that the culture at App State has transformed into be.
So would you
This
say
is
that?
last
Oh,
year?
sorry. No, you go. You go.
Oh, okay. This is your last year. The backup QB for you. Were you like a mentor to him?
Definitely. Me and Jacob came in the same year. We both came in 2016. We've been best friends since. We never let football, what happened on the field, affect our friendship. And it definitely was nice having a friend like that, not only on the field but off the field to talk to about anything like that. But it definitely was nice. In practice, there was plenty of times where he would see something that I didn't see, and he would say something, and I would see something that he didn't see, and I would say something. So it was just a revolving door. We just always wanted the best for each other, and we were always pushing each other to be the best. So that was definitely nice.
Awesome, man. Obviously, you played most like college players. They usually go enter in the draft after their third season. You stayed a fourth year, got more experience, had another off season to go through. What was the difference? What's the difference in this off season versus the past ones you've been a part of?
This one, especially right now, man, just really focused on getting better every day, especially nutrition-wise, just trying to fuel my body as best as I can to set myself up to success, and just with recovery, working out and training as hard as I can. I really just took focus in this offseason, just trying to get better in every aspect of life, just to set myself up to eventually better myself and better my family. So really just pouring everything I have into it.
Do you think this fourth season helped your chances in getting drafted?
Yeah, I think as a quarterback, and like y'all have hit on, my record, the wins I've had, we played big teams, won against big teams, and then, the accomplishments, whatever. I think it definitely it definitely catches someone's eye, and I think it has the ability to raise someone's eyebrows and, just take a farther look into me before pro day. And I think pro day for me is going to be the biggest thing to set me apart from, as a quarterback, you kind of get on the fences with the lower guys. And I think pro day is going to give me a chance to make that leap to where I need to be to eventually earn my dream and, be drafted.
Nice. You said it yourself. Your pro day coming up April 1st. Going to be lots of NFL teams there. Any particular team, coaches that you're trying to impress, or are you just whoever drafts you, you're happy with?
Man, I don't care who the heck drafts me. As long as someone drafts me, I could care less where it's at.
Fair enough.
Now, I want to say, so obviously, you're a really good scrambler. You rushed for, I believe, 300 plus yards this year. So, that part of your game is definitely stands out against a lot of the other quarterbacks. But what part of your game do you think you really need to work on to impress coaches at pro day?
I think it was my accuracy. I think whenever you get into college, you don't really work on things here and there. You kind of just get thrown in the fire. You don't really work on the details of what you need to be working on to be a better passer. And so just this off season, being away from everyone and just trying to really focus on and being better as a pocket passer, and being better in the pocket with the slower feet, quicker movements, and whatnot. I've really dialed in to being more accurate and delivering more catchable balls. And so as a quarterback, that's definitely something that I've definitely toned in on and just try to get better at.
Yeah, man. One of my personal favorite players from your school, some guy that I've really enjoyed watching highlights and tape on, Malik Williams. Have you guys talked about maybe teaming up again in the pros? Is that something that you guys have talked about, or you just both hoping that each other get drafted?
Yeah, well, Malik stayed another year, so really hoping the best for Malik. He's a heck of a player, and he's done a lot of good things for App State, and he's reliable, man. When you're a quarterback and you're come down to a sticky situation or it's third down, you had to have a play. You're going to Malik, and he's earned that right, and he's going to have another good career. And I hope that he goes on to live his dream in the NFL.
Absolutely, man. Your team was really rush heavy this year. I think it was 4 running backs that you had over 500 yards. were you hoping that the scheme was more involved in passing plays, or are you just fine with whatever the coach draws up?
Yeah, I mean, as a quarterback, you kind of sit back and you're like, man, I wish I could throw more. Wish I could throw more touchdowns and whatnot. Just being selfish you know, as any player could be at times. But at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for your team. And if that's running the ball 40 times a game, and we have heck of running backs. So if that's running the ball most of the games, we're going to do that to win the game. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. You just got to do what's best for your team.
Absolutely.
So, obviously, you come from, I believe, a small town in Alabama, and how much would it mean to you getting drafted, and then coming back home and, showing everyone that, you can do this no matter how much you believe in yourself, all you have to do is put the work in and you can get there.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'd love to do that. I think, a lot of kids look up to me, obviously, and I know that, and just try to prove them, just trying to set the bar high for these kids. Obviously, these kids, they all have dreams and aspirations like I did when I was a little kid. And always dreamed of playing college football, always dreamed of being in the NFL, and just the ability for me to be able to tackle this right now is giving some kid hope back where I'm from. So just ability to do that is a blessing.
How was the rehab from your broken leg? How did that kind of help with like your mental state? Like, were you thinking, oh, you're down, you couldn't really make it, and then you just had to put the work in?
Yeah, definitely. When it first happened, I was kind of devastated. Obviously, a lot of offers were poured, and I thought as a football player, my dreams were over. I didn't know if I was going to get another shot. But I knew once I got back healthy, whoever took the chance on me, and I signed with, was just going to give my best effort no matter where it was at. And so I just knew that, and that's just the kind of person I am, the competitor I am. So I knew once I got back healthy that I was just going to give my all for that university, and that's exactly what I did.
I mean, I don't know what it's like to be a college football player. I mean, you're busy pretty much year round, but do you and the guys like keep up with what's going on in the NFL, like trades, free agent signings? Like, do you have time to root for your team every Sunday, or what's that like?
I didn't really have a team, man. I as a quarterback, I kind of just rooted for players, players that I liked and players that I respected in the game. So I never really got big into it, and didn't really care about the free agents and whatnot. But now, obviously, it's kind of coming surreal. So that kind of stuff starts to matter now. So I really haven't been paying attention. Just I've been trying to cut out as much noise as I can and just try to be the best player I can be.
Right.
Now, obviously, going into the NFL is a huge lifestyle change from, where you are now and then where you will be. So, you'll have to do things like, get an agent and sign contracts and do things like that. So how mentally prepared do you think you are to make that transition to the league?
Yeah, man, I'm ready. I mean, it comes to a point where I've been working my whole life for this opportunity, and so I'm ready just to tackle it and just see what life has to come.
Nice.
That's awesome, man. Well, Alex, you have another question?
Yeah. I was going to say, do you play Madden?
I do not.
You don't? Well, what do you think your speed rating should be?
Oh man, I'm always gonna go high, because I'm confident in myself. But I go for like an 80, 85, 86, something like that.
Oh, I watched film. You're like a 92 at least.
I would love to be
Yeah.
a 92, but when someone's chasing after you, it's a little different. You always run faster than that.
On the topic of speed, what quarterback do you think your game best models after in the NFL currently?
I couldn't even tell you, man. As of right now, I think it's probably more Josh Allen. Just the ability to make plays with his feet and to make the throws in the tight windows. So as of right now, I would say him.
I can definitely see that. Tall guy, fast, able to make those deep throws when necessary. Hopefully you're not doing it against the Dolphins next season, though, or else I'll be pretty pissed.
Or the Cardinals. leave Kyler Murray alone.
All right, man. Well, it was a pleasure having you on. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to do this. Zach Thomas, pro day April 1st. We will definitely be tuning in, trying to watch that. And man, we're excited for the draft to see where you end up and what's there to come for you in the future. Thank you, man.
Absolutely. I appreciate y'all.
All right, see ya.
Yeah.
Thanks again.